All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jim OBrill. I am the marketing director for the Chicago Auto Show and also co-host of Drive Chicago Radio. Today we are joined with Mike Schultz. Mike is the Senior Vice President of Research and Development with Turtle Wax, also known as Dr. Turtle for his industry expertise. Mike, you've been with Turtle Wax for over 38 years, and you are the inventor of many popular Turtle Wax products and innovations, such as Max Power Car Wash, the Turtle Wax Ice Line, Speed Headlight Kit, and a whole lot more. You are just a wealth of car care knowledge, and we're so happy to have you joining us for a conversation talking about getting your vehicles ready for the Labor Day weekend road trips that I know many people are planning for. So thank you for joining us today. Excited to talk car care with you once again. As I mentioned, Labor Day weekend is coming up here, and a lot of people are planning to get in their cars and take them on some mini road trips. I'm noticing that the sun is unfortunately starting to set earlier, which means we're needing to turn those headlights on. And so let's start there. I know you invented some products here, but let's talk about what we can do, what kind of car care products you'd recommend to ensure that our headlights and tail lamps are fully clean for safety purposes while driving long distances.
Well, Jim, again, thanks for having me today. I know we have a half hour. I hope we can get through this in a half hour because you know how I can be. Uh, but yes, getting your car ready for Labor Day is a little bit more important than just getting ready for the holiday drive. It's also getting it ready for the winter. This is usually fall time. Labor Day is that time of season where you start focusing on what's best for your vehicle to get you through the winter. And let's start. You mentioned about the headlights and tail lamps. Yes, we go into the winter season. We have shorter days, more night vision as we're driving more at night. Well, with today, we know that the price of new cars and the price of used cars are going up. So really, it's a good incentive for all of us to take care of our cars, since we're probably going to have them a lot longer in these days with all the pandemic shortages and things like that. So when it comes to headlights and taillights, there's a lot of simple things you can do. When you wash your car, for example, I usually like to wash my car myself simply because it gives me an opportunity to look at the vehicle, kind of assess the condition it is before I decide whether I'm going to wax it or not. This is also the time of year to take a look at your headlights and your tail lamps. A lot of people think, oh, the restoration of headlamps is really difficult. I'll have it professionally done, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you start right away after every wash and start looking at the headlights, looking at the taillights, the condition, there's some simple things you can do. For example, a lot of people after they wash their car will apply a cleaner wax or a spray wax onto the headlights, kind of renew the coating and keep the clarity of your lenses. It can be done on the headlamps, can be done on the tail lamps. Unfortunately, a lot of people wait till they have a problem where the headlights are yellow or foggy, and that's when we have our Turtle Wax Headlight Restoration Kit, which really works very well. It's kind of funny you mentioned that, because right now when I go through the parking lot of a store, if I'm at a hardware store or a big box store, I'll go to the parking as I'm approaching my own vehicle and I'm going, those headlights need restoration. So do those. It's amazing how many cars you see. They go, wow, you could do something with that. So there's a lot of cars out there with the problem.
If I were you, and even myself, I look at those cars and I want to leave like a note, like these can be fixed relatively easily. Like, go check this product out from Turtle Wax. I've used that restoration kit. I've got an '07 4Runner and a '99 Prelude that both have, those older headlights. And as cars get older, that happens. But it does a great job of restoring it. And like you mentioned with the waxing on newer cars, a lot of people don't realize that you can apply a spray wax to a headlight. You think of wax just for paint. But I do that all the time, on the newer cars as well. And people look at me a little with kind of like a side eye, like, are you sure you can do that? But thank you for verifying that I'm not doing anything wrong with my headlights.
No, but like I said, it's just like I said, when you wash your car, it's just the exterior maintenance is probably the most important part. Interior maintenance, obviously, we have germs that we're worried about now. but cleaning your personal space, interior glass clean. But when it comes to your headlights, you got to remember how important they are to function in these dim lit days, and especially in inclement weather when you're facing snow and rain. You really need all the visibility you can. So a quick check on your headlights, you can verify the condition. And like I said, when it comes to spray waxes, a spray wax, you just really want to revitalize that clarity of the coating. Even if the headlights aren't looking foggy, regular maintenance will really help to maintain the clarity of those lenses. A little bit of care goes a long way. And since we are holding on to our cars longer, I think the average consumer holds, the average car on the road is 12 years old. There's a lot of cars that can need it. And like I said, safety is everything during the winter driving months. So don't sell yourself short. Make sure you take care of the exterior maintenance. Exterior car care is probably the most important during winter months, simply from the standpoint that um, safety and making sure that you have good visibility and people have good visibility to you. It's amazing how during the winter soils can build up on a car, and that car becomes looks great, and it's very difficult to see at night. So think about others besides your own personal pride in your car. That keeping the car clean makes you a little bit more visible too.
Yeah, and besides the headlights, when we're talking about visibility and clarity, we also have to think about our windows, the side mirrors. What is your thoughts on keeping those cleaned? I know, those can get fogged up over time as well. So what's your recommendations for keeping?
Well, we make
mirrors?
interior glass is very important because newer cars, you get a lot of plasticizer film on the inside of the window, which can impair your vision. Mirrors obviously are very important. Your rearview mirror, yeah, to keep them from fogging up. We have a product called Dash and Glass, and it takes a lot of the wear and tear of having to go to the store and buy multiple products. You have one product that you can actually use on the dash as well as the glass. What we recommend is use the Dash and Glass first on the glass and have a dedicated microfiber for that. Clean your windows first. That way you're making sure that you're not cross-contaminating soils from the car onto the glass. Do the windows first. I always recommend for people, clean your exterior glass first, because that interior glass can be a little bit troublesome to make sure you get all the film off the inside. So by having the exterior glass clean and then doing the interior glass, it makes it a little bit easier. You can see all those little places where you miss a little bit of road film. But Dash and Glass is something that works extremely well. It works with your microfiber. When you spray it on the cloth, so you can control on your microfiber cloth, you control the application on your inside glass without getting it up on everything. Plus, the formula is designed to pull a lot of the soils off interior glass. So it not only does it solubilize the soils, but actually pulls it into the microfiber, so you get cleaner, crisper windshields on the inside. And then you can use it to clean the dash part is cleaning your instrument cluster, so you can make sure you see all your gauges properly. Make sure your interior plastic, your side windows are nice and clean, and your mirrors as well.
And I've always avoided doing that in direct sunlight as well. I know it's a lot easier to clean glass, after the sun, it's actually in the evening hours after it's set. I think is kind of an ideal time for me, or when there's kind of some overcast, makes it a lot easier to see what's come clean on the windshield. As people start to take those road trips, I know my biggest concern for me on my cars is road debris that kicks up and causing paint chips or different blemishes. What can someone do to minimize that? We know it's coming. I know you can put a plastic, have like a wrap or shield on your car, but if you don't have that and your paint is directly exposed to these road hazards, what can we do to minimize that?
It's first of all, I like driving a clean car. I don't like driving a dirty car. So if I'm going on a road trip, I want my car to look really, really nice. I want to be proud of what I'm doing and where I'm going. But as far as nicks and scratches, those are just some of the things that happen because we're driving at 70 miles an hour. Now on the roads, the cars are moving faster. Although the aerodynamics are better on the vehicles, You got to remember a lot of the debris on the road is rocks, silicas, sands, quartz, and then the occasional debris that you find out on the road. And a lot of those things can damage the car, but damage the paint, put some chips in it. But what we have been doing some studies, and some of the polymer coatings actually can help that little rock to slip a little bit. So instead of being a pinpoint uh, projectile that's hitting a point of the car, it can help to dissuade or minimize the amount of damage that can happen to the front of the car. So our polymer coatings, like our hybrid solution spray ceramic coating, works very well. You're leaving a more substantive film on that car to kind of interfere with that. I'm not going to say here that, oh, it eliminates chips, but it can help in theory. And what we've been studying, it can help minimize that damage. But just to help that little bit of grain of sand to slip a little bit. Anything you can do, of course, nothing will replace one of those invisible bras or invisible plastic shields. That's why they use them on the lower rocker panels behind the wheel wells, is to minimize the chipping to the paint. But I like to keep wax on the car simply from the position that not only are you getting hit with the road debris, but also some of the bugs and some of the things that can stick to your car from some of the oils and tar that flies off. It's nice to have a nice barrier between the elements and the debris and your finish. And it can, those type of protective films like our waxes and our coatings can help make the car easier to clean later on.
Yeah, that's right where I was going to go next. Besides the rock chips, you get those bugs that splatter your windshield, splatter your bumper. And as a former detail, when a car would come in and that was never taken care of, that can be tricky over time to clean up. But I know, as you mentioned, when you've got a coat of wax, it makes it easier to get off. So what can people do to safely remove those, the dead bugs off the front of your car?
Well, Turtle Wax actually manufactures the number one bug and tar and tree sap remover in the form of our trigger spray product. You can find at all the local retailers. It's a very good bug and tar remover. And the whole idea is, what I always tell people to do is, like I said, wax your car. You want to put a nice barrier in between those things that splatter on your car. I always recommend first washing the vehicle. There are a lot of soils and things that you think are staining your car were actually water soluble and will actually come off with a normal wash and a nice wash, chenille wash mitt. But what doesn't come off, that's where you can use your bug and tar remover. It's formulated with actually 4 different types of solvents. There's 4 different types of solvents that basically go over the variety of different things, the sticky things that can get on your car. Tree sap, for example, needs a specific solvent blend to get that off. Tar needs more of a petroleum distillate or a terpene in there. So, and then bugs, the same thing. You need a little bit of an alcohol or a glycol ether. I'm sorry, I'm talking chemistry. But you have, so we think about all these things when we formulate our products. So whatever you're getting in your car, we have solvents in there that will help soften and remove those things safely on your paint. Well, but the thing is, it's always, here's my advice. Whenever you wash the car and you have that residue, spray the bug and tar or wipe it on with a soft cloth. Let it sit for about a minute before you go and rub it. Don't put a lot of work in it. You could put some scratches in your paint. Let the chemistry do the work and then wipe it away.
And Michael, I know you like to, you get a little technical with some of the chemistry stuff, but I think it's great that you get so involved in it, because that's your job. And a lot of people don't realize the chemicals and the chemistry that actually goes into these products. And there's a reason that you've got a different product for bug and tar remover compared to the glass cleaner. You have a full lab there at the Turtle Wax headquarters that, I've seen through the windows. It's a very cool thing. So for the consumers, as you're buying products, it's important to know that there is pure science that goes into these products that are out there. And for those of you that are just joining us, we are joined here by Mike Schultz. He's the Senior Vice President of Research and Development for Turtle Wax. 38 years of experience. He is a chemist. He's creating these products that we're using on our vehicles. He's been doing it for over 38 years. So we refer to him as Dr. Turtle around here because there's not much he can't answer. So if you do have questions, feel free to post those in our comments. If we don't answer them here live, we'll get back to you later. Turtle Wax will be on hand to provide answers if you're watching this after the fact. We're talking about road trips for Labor Day. So let's talk about what kind of car care products you recommend keeping in your car at all times. I know when I go on my trips, I've got a handy bin in the trunk of my car, and I don't leave home without a few key things. So what is in your stable of recommendations?
Well, first of all, I always like to keep products in my car because I'm a little bit of a fanatic on keeping my car clean. But turtlewax.com, if you're interested in a trunk organizer, that's usually where I keep my products. These handy trunk organizers that keep your products in place and keep it from slipping and sliding. A lot of trunks, a lot of SUVs have storage compartments where you can keep product. There are certain products that are very safe to keep in your car during the summer months, and there's products you need to have during the winter months, obviously de-icers and things of that nature. But you have to be careful of what you store in your trunk. Look at the labels to make sure they're safe for storage in a vehicle. I usually like to keep a spray detailer in the car. In other words, a spray detailer is something that can remove light soils and dirt, or that occasional oops or accident that a bird flies over and drops on your car at the most inconvenient time. But I also keep microfibers in the trunk. They come in handy as well. As far as cleaners go, glass cleaners, obviously you want to keep in your trunk for those. So those incidences where you have to kind of keep the car a little bit cleaner. Those are the type of products. Anything in a trigger bottle is usually pretty safe to keep in the car. I tell people to avoid putting aerosols in the car because if you notice, there's always, and I think we talked about this last time, I said, you're not supposed to store aerosols above 120 degrees because of their pressurized containers. The inside of your car can get very hot. So stick to the trigger bottles, stick to the convenient cleaners, interior cleaners, keep microfiber towels in the car. I love an interior detailer for cleaning the inside, or an interior detailer where you clean carpet, fabric, as well as hard surfaces. Because when you go on these trips, especially on Labor Day, there's always a lot of eating and getting in and out of the car and leads to stains inside the vehicle. So it's always good to have an emergency interior spray to treat that area, that coffee spill, those little incidences that get inside the car, and microfiber towels. What I like to do is I use different colored microfiber towels. Jim, I think I was telling you this last time. I use the lighter ones. I use lighter ones for inside the car and the darker ones for outside the car. That way I don't mix them up. I'm not mixing up my microfibers. And the microfibers are easy to launder when you get home. You just pull them out and, launder them or hand wash them and get another set inside the car. So these interior cleaners, exterior detailers, very safe to keep inside the cars.
So we had a question pop up as we're talking about that. Are all or most of Turtle Wax products safe to keep in the trunk?
Most of them. I would say anything in a liquid or trigger, a trigger is safe to keep in the car. We do make aerosols. We make this wonderful product called Interior One, Turtle Wax Interior One. We have a carpet and upholstery cleaner in an aerosol. We have a fogger for Odorex fogger called Fresh Blast that for removing odors. These I don't recommend for inside the car. It's just these days, depending on where you park, the temperature outside, sometimes the weather can get away from you. You forget about it, and you can, like I said, most of these products are not going to be a problem, but I just tell people to avoid it in the future. That's all.
So we mentioned a few interior cleaning. I know I like to keep the inside of my car clean and ready to go for a trip, at least start clean. I know we never end the trip clean, as you mentioned, especially with 3 kids at home. What kind of steps and products would you recommend to start the road trip fresh with a clean interior of the car?
Well, again, in these days of all the germs that we're all worried about being exposed to, I like to start with a clean car. So if you're taking the family out, take the mats out, vacuum them, vacuum the inside, get all the loose debris up first. Take the mats out, vacuum the carpet, vacuum the seats if you have them. We have we have an interior detailer that's available, or like I said, interior one, clean down. And we also have an antibacterial, our multi-surface cleaner, Turtle Wax and bacteria disinfectant that's available. You can get that at most of the local stores. Start by cleaning all the hard surfaces, any place where people touch. Um, Windows, of course, we already talked about that. So we'll assume your glass is nice and clean. Vacuum out the inside. Get rid of all the loose food containers. And then anything you touch, from touch screens to your steering wheel, door handles, try to wipe those things down just to keep them sanitary and get rid of all the bacteria and germs. And that's how I start my trip, because you're getting people in the car. You want everybody to have a great time. You don't want to start out with uh, exposing people to germs where they come home and then they're sick.
Yeah, definitely.
So try to start out as clean as possible, but a little bit of time. It should take you no more than about 30 minutes to do that. Like I said, I'm a fanatic about vacuuming out all the different cracks and crevices, because you'd be surprised how people will leave certain things and candy wrappers inside the car, and they go in places where it's always the toughest to reach. So take your time and get
Yeah.
those surfaces clean. And by doing that, when you do get back from your trip, now you know where to start. You know where you started. You know where it is. And you know where you need to return it back to. So.
I know getting a good vacuum in is key too. And I know I have a nice shop vac at home, but everyone doesn't, which leads me to my next question in a certain roundabout way. Well, there's a lot of, public car washes that you can go to, and a lot of them now offer, high quality vacuums that you can go there and get a good vacuum in there. But there's always a debate about, is it safe to run your car through a car wash, with the machines, whether it's touchless or whether it's got the brushes. But I know when I take my car on a road trip, at some point, whether it's the bugs or you hit some dirt roads, I want to keep it clean while I'm driving it around. What's your thoughts on taking it through a conventional car wash? Why or why not is it a good idea?
All right. Well, here let's just start with the premise that the car is dirty. One of the things I'm adamant about is leaving debris and soils on the car. The sooner you can get them off, the better off you are. Let's take a bird dropping, for example. Sometimes, especially during the spring when they're eating berries, and you get that nice colorful stain. I mean, we've seen people where on lighter colored cars that berry dropping sits there, and within a week they're washing away. And what do you see? You see a stain in the clear coat, and then eventually the acids in that, you'll see clear coat failure, where you'll see little etchings and cracking of the clear coat from the acids that actually migrate into the paint and swell the paint or cause polymer degradation. So I'm a firm believer of getting the soils off as quickly as you can. If it means washing it yourself, that's fine. Going to the commercial car wash, they're perfectly safe. There's a lot of new equipment. Turtle Wax actually supplies a lot of products. There's Turtle Wax products to commercial car wash. We're all designing products that will safely clean, lubricate the finish, so you're not getting those soils to interact with it, with the finish. They're safe to use. The vacuums that they use in the self-serve are very, very powerful. Like I said, I'm a firm believer of getting into a habit and getting into a regular regimen. If it means including going to the local car wash or a self-serve, and you want to do that hybrid of having some of it done yourself and doing it yourself, doing some of the cleaning yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I'm just a big advocate of getting the soils off the car as quickly as you can so they don't interact with the finish.
So this next question is a little personal here. I've got kids. We've gone to the beach, and my nemesis, much like salt in the winter, is sand in the summer months. So what do you recommend for helping to bring, getting sand out of carpet, basically? There's nothing worse than seeing all that sand and grime kind of build up. And sometimes, just a quick vacuum doesn't get it all up. So how can we best solve that problem?
Yeah, you just hit something that my daughter Michelle was. My daughter Michelle was on the East Coast, and she buried her boyfriend Dan in the sand. So it was when you mentioned that was the first thing that came to my mind. I can just imagine all the sand that would be going into the vehicles that they were riding in. But the biggest issue with sand on the beach, there's nothing wrong. Sand is a very large particle. The biggest problem I have is when you get home to vacuum it out while it's sitting on the surface, because the more you trample on it, the more deeper it gets into the nap of the carpet and deeper in, and it's harder to vacuum out. Anybody that's had sand in the vehicle that's been trampled in or deeply embedded in, you can vacuum and vacuum, but what happens when you take that mat out? You take it out, turn it upside down, pound it, and you're still getting more sand and soil out. So, like I said, if you're going to the beach, nothing wrong with that. Just try to vacuum out that sand as quickly as possible. I always like to take the mats out, pound them upside down on the pavement to try to get anything that's deeply embedded out. Because the sandy particles can really get into the nap and be very difficult to remove. But if you do it quickly and do it as soon afterwards, it usually comes out without a problem.
Yeah, it's inevitable when you've got kids, but that's why I always buy those all-weather rubber mats, because those are a lot easier to take a quick hose to, but you still get it in there. Similar but different, more on the outside. What if you're planning to go off the beaten path a little bit for some off-roading? What cleaning tips might you recommend post off-roading or post some trails from camping where the outside gets a little bit dirtier than normal?
Well, I think there's a couple of things you have to worry about when you do a little bit of off-roading. Is obviously you want to take care of the exterior vehicle by putting probably a good wax on the surface, because obviously if you're off-roading, you're either going to be hit by sandy soils if you're going anywhere near sandy soils near a dune. The other thing is tree branches and branches that all scrape against the side of your car. Again, any kind of preparation you can do to put a coating on between the paint and the surrounding elements is really beneficial. If you're doing off-roading, one of the things that, like I said, you can do is wax the car. Also prep the trim. A lot of the trim can get very dirty very quickly. Use a trim coating or protectant on those surfaces. That actually helps make those surfaces easier to clean when you do get off the trail. A lot of people don't realize that plastic is kind of porous. So if you see a lot of plastic trim in a car, you think it's like, well, it's very impervious to water, but they can hold a lot of soils. So try to use a trim dressing as well before you go off-roading. Just makes it a lot easier to clean afterwards. And if you're doing enough off-roading, you probably already know that bring it back and use a pressure washer, or go to one of those bays where they have the pressurized wands, because you want to get that sandy, heavy soil off the exterior surfaces, out of the wheel wells, a lot of off the drivetrain whenever you can, because they can create a lot of havoc as well.
All right, Mike, we've got a few minutes left here. If you have questions, feel free to post them. We'll try to address them here live, and if not, we will get back to them later. Before we wrap up, what other tricks or tips might you have for the general public that they might not be thinking about, or that we didn't get to cover so far today?
Just real quick, two of my go-to products that I keep in the garage is something called Turtle Wax Max Power Car Wash. It's an adjustable formula. You can adjust it to mild strength to heavy duty strength just by changing the dilution rate in your bucket. The other thing is the Turtle Wax All-Wheel and Tire Cleaner. It's a strong alkaline cleaner, but boy, let me tell you, when it comes to spills in the garage, oils and grease, the wheel and tire cleaner does a wonderful job of getting some of those stains off. When it comes to Max Power Car Wash, keeping the garage floor clean, boy, what a great cleaner for that as well. So not only do they work in your car, but anytime you get one of those spills where you need a heavy duty cleaner, those two products really come in handy inside the garage.
Yeah, I can attest to that tire and wheel cleaner. I keep that handy at all times. I know I like to keep my both my wheels clean and then the tires shined up great.
Mhm.
So it doesn't look like we've got any other questions at this time. Mike, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with me today to talk vehicle prep for the Labor Day weekend road trips. We'll have to connect again here soon and talk about fall car care and get into depth on what we can do as we prep for winter. In the meantime, you can visit drivechicago.com/car care. There you can find all sorts of tips and tricks from Mike here at Dr. Turtle. And links to buy some of these products we talked about. So be sure to visit drivechicago.com/car care. Mike, thank you for spending some time today and joining us.
Jim, it's always a pleasure. Anytime.
All right, once again, thank you. I'm Jim OBrill. I'm the marketing director for the Chicago Auto Show and co-host of Drive Chicago. Until next time, feel free to check out drivechicago.com.